Ain't no capping in my logic, this that real talk vibe. From the south where the grind don't die, we survive. Mind sharp, money right. Truth be the topic. Welcome to the game. This unfiltered logic. Ain't no sugarcoating here, just truth in the topic. Speak facts, not feelings, that's unfiltered logic. Pain made the hustle made profit. I learned from the struggle, now I profit off logic.
How's it going, Dr. King?
Blessings, sir. How are you?
Oh, everything's great. Everything's great. Glad to have you today. So Dr. King, first of all, welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking the time out today, to come and talk with us. I kind of wanted to get into a little bit about your campaign, what issues you were running with again. And I had a chance to talk to you off the air previously, and get to know you a little bit. But for everybody who doesn't know you, let us know a little bit about who you are aside from politics.
I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, great-grandfather. I'm a pastor in the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I've been pastoring since '98. I'm a business coach and a consultant. I work out in the community. I've been doing that for over 30 years, helping them get jobs, helping them get off drugs, helping them find a place to stay or having a place to stay, walking the streets from midnight to 3 o'clock in the morning, sharing the gospel of Christ. And I'm just a servant.
Definitely. Yeah, I know that I've seen that you have your own ministry.
Yes. Oh, I'm also an author. I forgot to put that in there. I'm an author too. Yes, the name of our ministry is Kingdom Resurrection Power, but we have another one called Kingdom Ecclesia.
Okay. So yeah, two different ministries that you operate.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. So how about your upbringing? Like where did you grow up at? How was life for you? For before Dr. King was a doctor.
Let's see. Life was very interesting. I grew up in a house. My mom and dad got divorced. My mom sitting there raising 6 boys and 1 girl. I learned my servanthood from my mom because she would let any and everybody stay with us. If they was hungry, she fed them. If they didn't have nowhere to live, she gave them our bed. She wanted them to be comfortable, and she loved on people. And she always told us, "There's nobody better than you, and you is not better than nobody." And so I grew up in a neighborhood where everybody was your parent. The neighbors would get you, the teacher would get you. So if you messed up, and then from there, from after school, I became what's called a neighborhood security aide. We escorted senior citizens to the store, to the park, if they just wanted to go for a walk. So right out of school, I decided to go into servanthood. And then my father, even though he wasn't in the home, he was in our lives, but he just wasn't in the house. He worked at a company called A.O. Smith. And at that time, that company was making a lot of money. I mean, you worked there, you was going to make some money. But it was industrial, it was foundry-like work. And my dad would not let me come in there. He would not let me in. If you had a family member working there, you automatically got hired. But he would not allow me to come in there. And at first I was mad at him. I'm like, why I can't? Everybody else bringing their kid in here. Why I can't come in here? I didn't know at that time he even wanted better for me. Right. So I had to go and create my own path. So I started off as a dishwasher at a restaurant, became a cook and a baker by trade, and began to manage $1 million restaurants. And then I started working for $1 million companies, and my job was to go in and fix whatever was wrong. So if nothing needed to be fixed, I was bored, so I would transfer. But I needed to go in and fix things, and I've been doing that ever since.
Definitely, definitely. So kind of, is it more of damage control, or would you say more proactive behavior?
Damage control is my specialty, and I like to say it. I'm like Joe Clark on the movie Lean on Me.
Okay,
You might not like the way I do it, but you'll love the results.
definitely, definitely. So that kind of leads me into asking what got you inspired to actually want to dedicate your path to serving others in politics. At least I know you were already serving others in your neighborhood, but in a different way, right?
Yes.
Ministry is a lot different than being a politician. What kind of got you to want to even make that shift over and say, not necessarily that you're leaving the ministries behind, but stepping into a new role?
Well, all I can say, it was God, because I was sitting in my office at the church, and God told me to study government, and I studied government. Now, mind you, I was a number man. I love numbers. I can be half asleep and show you where they stealing money or where they lying when it comes to numbers, because I was a number man. But God told me study the government, and I studied government from the beginning of this country. And then I found out while I was studying government that at one time I was offered the oldest Baptist church in Savannah, Georgia, which was also part of history. And I didn't realize it at the time, because the history they gave us in school wasn't real history. So I had to study history, and I realized that a couple of things. One, God was the center of government. That's why when they signed papers, they would say, "In the day of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ." So they kept God at the center, and then we traded God for money, right? And then they started using taxation without representation, even though that was in the 27 grievance, but that wasn't the top 10. And so I started really paying attention to government, and I started to see how government operate. And then I ended up saying, you know what? There's a problem. And I was taught, if you come up with the problem, I charge you with the solution. And that's when I got into politics in 2008.
Okay, so you started around 2008. That was a big time. You had the housing market crash. You had Obama just got elected. I'm sure that was a whole big commotion going on just in politics in general. And at that time, were you going to run for Democrat or Republican?
Well, when I first ran in 2008, I was green. I didn't know really nothing. But what I did notice that in Milwaukee, it was a Democrat win-all primary. It was no Republicans in 2008 trying to run. Even though the sheriff was a conservative, he wouldn't run as a Republican. He ran as a Democrat. So what ended up happening, I jumped in a Democrat primary. Because before God told me to study government, I really wasn't into politics at all. So I jumped in a Democrat primary, and they had a form. And I'm in this form, and they asked me a question about what would you do to make the district better? And I said, I would do whatever it takes, even if I got to work with somebody on the other side. And the moderator, now this is what blew my mind. The moderator jumped up and said, "You're a fake Democrat. We don't cross over."
Man, yeah, I thought that was
during that whole campaign.
My bad. Go ahead. I didn't know. I thought you stopped right there. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, during that campaign, they put out there's a fake Democrat in the race, so they got everybody to vote for the incumbent at the time, and so he won. But in the process of that, after he won, I met some people, and they wanted me to go to an event, and I went to an event, and those people was talking the way I was talking, and that's when I started hearing people saying, "Oh, you're not a liberal, you're a conservative," and I'm like, "No, that's my upbringing. You're not going to put me in a box. I was raised like that."
Yeah.
We was raised, don't waste money. We was raised, if you make that, my mother used to tell all her sons, you make that baby, you're going to raise that baby.
Amen.
You know,
Yeah.
so all my values came from my house. It came from home. It did not come from a political party. So when they was like, "Oh, well, you one of us," I'm me. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's how I got started.
Yeah, and I say that all the time is like, I mean, yeah, I say more Republican conservative things, especially on my channel, but in reality, I don't expect myself to represent a party. I expect my morals to be what they are and my standards to be what they are. And whatever side at the time is aligning with that, that's typically where my vote aligns with. I think that it's this weird thing where everybody kind of jumps to a party like it's a football team, but I'm not sure why that's happening. What do you think? Why do you think that starts to happen in the communities? Everybody kind of picks right or left. Nobody thinks about the policy.
Because they're forced to do it. It's just like you move in the neighborhood and you got two gangs. They tell you to choose a side. You got to pick somebody.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, and they don't want nobody to stand up on their own. A person like you and a person like me that speak our mind, we the bad guys because we don't want to choose a side. We
definitely.
just tell it. We just tell it like it is. And if you mad, you mad. I always tell people, I never tell you what you want to hear, but I'm definitely going to tell you what you need to hear. And so
Sure.
they always try to force us. And a lot of people doesn't understand that it's more than two parties. You got the Green Party, you got the Libertarians. I just found out there's a group called the Pirates. You got the Pirates Party, you got the Constitutional Party. So you got all of these different other parties, but they want you to stay stuck with just two parties,
Yeah, they
whether
definitely
you
do.
whether you agree or not.
Yeah, that's definitely true. They definitely get very upset if you even seem as if you switch up a little bit here and there. If you have a difference in opinion, you see it all the time. And it's a shame that we're looking more at parties instead of our morals, beliefs, what we actually feel is right, and being more open minded to just the situations that are actually going on instead of, hey, what side of the aisle is it on? Who said what? It should be what are the facts, what's really going on, and who is really the best for me at the time. It shouldn't necessarily be about the party. And so that's one thing that kind of caught my eye when you said people over the parties. But explain to us a little bit, because I know that's one of your main sayings that you say. What does that mean?
Well, people over parties means it's time for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about we the people. I'm not talking about black. I'm not talking about a color. I'm talking about Americans. It is
Yeah,
time for us as Americans to take our power back because the power is not in the hands of the Democrats or the Republicans. The power is
yeah,
in the hands of the people. And we need to put the people over the parties. We need to put principle back in politics because it's not there. If you're a nice guy and you want to run, they tell you to run on one side or the other. And if you do and you're not like them, then they'll eat you. I call both parties hyenas because if you don't go along, they'll eat you. And
yeah,
so the people over the party saying we don't have to go left or right. We don't have to drink the blue Kool-Aid or the red Kool-Aid. Let's drink some purple Kool-Aid. Let's drink some Kool-Aid that's going to bring us together. Let's not do finger pointing. Let's come up with some solutions. If we're not careful, our nation is going to be taken from the inside because they got us fighting each other that we're not even paying attention what's really going on in our nation. So for me, I try to bring people to the middle. I said, meet me in the middle and have a mind to work, have a mind to come
yeah,
together because our children's future is at stake. You got
definitely.
you got people on the right who want their children to have a great education. You got people on the left who want their children to have great education. Okay, so let's sit down and create an education that is going to be great for all children, right?
Definitely.
You got business owners on the right that want their business to prosper and they don't want government in their hands, and you got business owners on the left that want their business to prosper and don't want the government. So what do? We both want our business to thrive. Let's sit down and come up with a solution. Let's not point fingers, because the finger pointing only come during election time. You ever notice that?
Yeah, well, I'd say in the past it seems that that's definitely accurate, but it seems like now it's a different world now.
Well, right now, it all depends on the agenda. But if you pay attention to the election, you'll have, it doesn't matter who's in charge. If the Democrats in charge, and like let's say Wisconsin, Democrats is in charge of Wisconsin, and what I mean by that is we got a Democrat governor. That Democrat governor is in charge. He can veto some stuff, right?
Right.
So you got Republicans know he's going to veto it, so they'll do all that work, try to pass a bill and get it passed, and then it goes to the governor and he veto it. So the Republicans can say, "Well, I tried to help you, but he vetoed it." But you knew he was going to veto it. And when we had a Republican governor, the Democrats did the same thing. They wrote all these bills, and all of a sudden they got vetoed, and they said, "Well, we was trying, but them Republicans won't let us." They won't let us do nothing for you. I say those games should be over. I think we need a independent governor in Wisconsin. And I'm gonna tell you why we need an independent governor, but I gotta ask you a question first. All right?
Okay.
I know you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, right?
America's team.
Okay. I argue that later with you because I'm a but when the Dallas Cowboys is playing, how many teams is on the field?
Two, of course.
You sure?
Well, unless you add in the refs as a third team.
That's it. That's it. You have Dallas, which is the home team. You got the Redskins, which is the visiting team, and then you got the referee. And the referee job is to govern according to the NFL rules. No matter what team they like, they're supposed to govern with integrity with the NFL rules.
Right.
And if they govern with the rules, we're going to have a good game, right?
Definitely.
So you got Democrats and you got Republicans. If you have an independent governor, guess what? Now they got to go by the rules of what? Of the Constitution. Not the Republican rules, not the Democrat rules, but the rules that have already been set with the United States Constitution and the Wisconsin Constitution. That makes life better for everybody.
Yeah, I would agree to that. If we could actually stick to the actual true Constitution, I will say on both sides, you get it. You get people abuse it, their power and their just ability to manipulate what they're actually doing as far as protecting the Constitution. It seems that none of them are really there for the Constitution. You get gun rights on one side, on the other side, you get flock cameras. You know, it doesn't seem like,
don't get me started with that.
I was saying so, and I'm in Texas, so I think we were talking about this before. We're one of the states that get, like, we have one of the biggest contracts for flock cameras down here in Texas. And that's something that really bothers me about the Republican side or the right wing. Now, I can go down a list of things that bother me about the left, but that's not what we're here for. But what I do want to know is, being an independent, you don't hear many independents who, just often you don't hear a lot of them get to speak on exactly what it is that they're running on. It's kind of more about being away from the parties. But what is it that makes you kind of stand out? What is it, something that you're running on that you really want to make a change of that will make you stand out?
Well, for one, I'm running on solutions, not finger pointing. And I'm running on truth. I'm letting people know both sides lied to you. Both sides have not done anything to make your life a lot better. And all they do is point fingers. I'm looking at solutions. For example, a lot of people don't understand, but in Wisconsin, I'm for school choice and charter schools. But and once I'm governor, I'm going to put in place the dollar follow the child. And the reason the dollar needs to follow the child is, in Wisconsin, every third Friday in September, they do the count. And that's how you get your money. Right. So what end up happening is this. A charter school or a choice school can take that kid all the way up until that third Friday. But by the time you get to the fourth or the fifth Friday, if that child break a rule at that school, they kick the kid out. Now that kid has to go to MPS, but that money stay there. So, what they're doing is we got the money, we don't need the kid now. But if
Right.
the dollar follow the child, now they're going to be more patient, more long suffering. They're going to make sure they got counselors in there if they need counselors, because if they kick the kid out, they kick out the money.
Yeah, yeah. And that's how it should be. I definitely agree with that. That's always good to hear because our education matters. Like even for me, I have 4 kids, and I don't necessarily in my own city. I don't like the public schools, and I want to be able to decide what school, be able to do the research, which we can here in Texas, or at least in my county. Man, I'm not sure how open that is in Texas, but that's something I always thought was important because it wasn't available a couple years ago, and being able to put one of my kids, they lost their teeth a little early. And so it was hard for them to speak. Until they got like the proper speech class, had nothing wrong with them, figured out how to, talk without rolling the tongue off your 2 front teeth. Perfect. But the school that he was at before, I couldn't get him in. So they couldn't get it together properly. So then we had to transfer them over. Big difference. But if you don't have that ability and if the money's not following, then they don't care about you anyway. That's when you get holdups on transfers and everything else like that. So I think that's definitely something that is a important thing, especially whenever we're talking about looking after our youth. What is, just a couple of the other things? I know that's one of your bigger things. I know you said it's people over the parties. You want to put obviously the youth and education first. How do you feel about, let's say, the economy there? How's the economy going? What can you do to improve it? Does it need a lot of improvement right now?
Oh yeah, it definitely needs
focus.
Yeah, it definitely needs. And what we need to do is we need to make government get out the way. People get excited when people running for office says we're going to create jobs. Government does not create jobs. Government needs to get out of business way. You're a businessman. You know it. If the government get out of your way, if the government removes a lot of those red tapes and all of those little fees that they're trying to tax their businesses on, then the business owners can thrive and they can hire people. Small businesses are the backbone of our country. It ain't these big corporations. It's the small business owners. And so we got to move government out of the way so business owners can thrive. And then they can set up some nice paying jobs that families can be sustained. And we have to allow small business owners to even partner with the high schools to do internship, because as a business owner, one of my companies, what I had to do was I taught the culture of a company before I send people over there. I had to get them to understand it. And if I had a company and I can go to the school and teach my culture to those who are not fit for college, then I got a workforce right there, because everybody don't want to go to college no more. So, but if I can teach them my culture and bring them in every summer from the 10th grade on all the way through graduation, I might have a supervisor coming out of that. Why? Because they already know. You see what I'm saying? But we have to get government to move out of the way. We move government out of the way, business is going to thrive. It's that simple.
Yeah. That is definitely. You got no arguments with me there. If I didn't have to pay extra stuff, things would be doing a lot better. Extra taxes, extra regulation fees, all sorts of different things. Even just starting an LLC, you have to pay a fee. So everything else that goes behind it, it just makes things more complicated. I definitely agree with that. I was wondering, I had that's what it's called. So the Wisconsin God Squad. Tell me a little bit about that. I've seen and read that it's helped over 2,000 people, and I believe that's mostly with the youth. Tell me a little bit about that. been really
Well,
interested in hearing about that.
well, actually, it's over 10,000 people. And
Okay.
and what God Squad was, I set it up like a police unit, okay, a police department. So I had my youth unit, I had my education and employment unit, I had my drug unit, I had my family unit. That was my special victim unit. I called that the SUV unit. Um, I had a one for elderly. So what we would do as God Squad, I modeled it after Jesus, and Jesus took care of the total man. So I didn't want to just pray for you. I want to give you what you need to get your life together. And before COVID, I was transporting over 450 people a day to work. I helped them get the job, and then I made sure they was at the job. And
Okay.
so I also ran a transitional home for men getting out of prison that was on drugs, and I also ran a transitional home for single moms to get back on their feet as well.
So you're just touching all the weak points. That's the best thing is because I worked at the prison for 3 years down in Texas. And the main thing is I see so many inmates, they'll get out and I seen them at the prison and they'll see me on the streets and they're typically I see a lot of them outside of the gas station and they're asking for some money or they need something. They're trying to, hey, do you know where I can, hey boss, you remember me? You used to treat me good, but I remember I never used to give you a problem. Do you know a way that I can find a job? X, Y, and Z. And they don't have any opportunities. The same thing with single mothers. You get in a situation where if you don't have anybody to be there to watch your kids, be there for you, it's really hard for you to go out and get a job. It's really hard for you to, get to where you need to be because you can't have the means of the support that you need. So it sounds like you're touching all the soft spots in the community. I know that you're real big on helping out the youth as well.
Yeah. I even coach high school basketball too. So I just quit. I just retired coaching high school basketball. But my thing is this: our children, they really our future. But in Wisconsin, we have, and I know in Texas too, we have a pipeline from school to prison. And if these babies can't read by the third grade, they in trouble.
Yeah.
And by the eighth grade, they definitely in trouble. Do you know, we was talking about this, where I went to I ain't gonna name the restaurant, but remember I went to the restaurant and the total was $9.45. I gave them a 20, and it took two people to figure out how much change I get back. I mean, because they don't they don't allow them to do critical thinking. They don't teach them math like they should teach them math because there's no way you should not know how to count change backwards or however, it's showing that the education system is failing. And one thing that I would do, I would say, hey, listen, the curriculum that we're getting from the federal government, we need to change. We need our own because every county in Wisconsin has a different issue when it comes to education. And we got to be able to give them what they need so our children can compete with anybody in the world. Because if they don't, then we are failing them. We're setting them up for failure.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And then I also want to say for medical, right? The state paying all this medical, big money to pharmaceutical and all of that. And people is complaining they can't pay for their medicine. But here's the thing that I see that will allow medicine to be affordable. You ready for this?
Yeah, I think the whole world is.
All right. If the state is going to pay for prescriptions, then the state should also pay for holistic and chiropractor.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Because if you pay for holistic, the pharmaceuticals are going to drop their price because they're going to want to keep their customers. But I don't think it's government should tell family members how to deal with their health. I think it should be a family decision. And if the family wanted to go holistic, they should be able to. I have seen people that go to chiropractors that was sick and all they needed was to be adjusted and they was better. So I even saw mothers taking their little babies to be adjusted. So if we're going to pay, then let's pay that our people in the state of Wisconsin can also be healthy.
Definitely. Definitely. Especially of their choice, not just what we're told to do. I feel like we're already told to do enough things. At least let us choose what we could do with our own body. So I also wanted to ask you, I know you have your ministries. How big is your communion?
My ministry reaches across Wisconsin, Mississippi, Georgia, a couple of people in Texas. Yeah, it travels all over. So it's not just planted here in Milwaukee.
Okay. What do you guys do? Like a live stream of it? You record it, broadcast it?
Oh yeah. When I do the live stream, it goes all the way to Africa. It goes all the way to it goes across the world in that sense. But when I'm here, I got people, they call me and they tell me I'm they pastor, and they ain't never been to the church, but they saw us online.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I got books out. One book is called "Why It's Important to Stay in the Middle from a Kingdom Perspective." One is called "Kingdom Colonization." One is called "The Road to Kingdom Living," and the other one is called. Oh, also, I see somebody say also Michigan too. Okay, Michigan too. I'm sorry.
Well, let me actually pull them up right here for you, so we can have them up here. You can keep talking. I was just saying I'm gonna pull up the comments right there at the bottom, so we can see.
Okay, and the other one is called "Taking My Mountain," standing up for God on the mountain of influence and being that light that we need to be.
Definitely, yes, sir. So I kind of jumped around to the two different things, but it's mostly because I think that those two are the most important. Or I guess you could say three: your education, your health, and your faith. I think those are the three most important things when it comes to not just the youth, but our community in general. People are a lot more productive when they're healthy, when they're close and connected with their faith. They can bear a lot more fruit. And when they're properly educated in the right ways to where we're actually guiding ourselves in the right direction instead of going around in circles over and over. We've been talking about the education was bad since, I was in elementary school, and talking about how other countries are surpassing us and that the reading level keeps dropping lower and lower. And it seems like nothing is changing. Why do you think that it literally all three of those things that, I would say me and you probably can agree those are three of the most important things to the communities. Why do you think that those are the three things that they seem to be attacking the most? And when I say they, I don't necessarily mean a party or the other, but it just seems like the government entity as a whole, it just seems like the education is getting worse. We don't have God in anything anymore. We don't even say, put our hands over our heart in the morning before school, Right. And then the same thing with health. You're just told prescribe this, and this has symptoms of this, this, and this. But if you take that, then you're going to need to take this over here, and that has symptoms for something else. If you get those symptoms, take that. You know what I mean? So why do you think that is something that's going on?
Well, first of all, let's start with the first one, and that's our faith. And they will tell you about faith, right? They'll say to you, I got to remove God. Because if they remove God, they remove hope. There's no more hope.
Yeah.
It's doom and gloom. Then they go to the education system. And why is that? Because I tell people this: if you send your kids to Caesar, don't get mad when they come home a Roman.
Yeah.
Because Caesar is going to indoctrinate them with what they want them to have. And so when you look at education, this is one of the reasons why they stopped cursive writing. Because if they taught our children how to write and read in cursive, they can read history.
Yeah, they stopped teaching it right after, so my grade level, I think you learned it in fourth grade, third grade or something. And I remember the very next year they stopped teaching it, at least in the state of Texas. So it's definitely more and more things that it seems that they're taking away from our education system. Nothing that they seem to be adding other than tablets instead of reading books.
And it's like this. If I can stop you, well, I'll say it the way James Madison said it. James Madison said, knowledge will always govern ignorance. If I can keep the information from you, I can govern you. If I take that, because knowledge is nothing but information. If I don't give you the information, right? If I don't never give it to you, I can govern you. Just like if I never teach you how to fish, you got to come to me to eat.
Right.
And that's what they want. That's what the government want. I even hear in some states that they're they're trying to open up government grocery stores. You know what'll happen if the government control grocery stores?
They're gonna have a food desert in no time. Taxes
Well,
are
we
gonna
got
be
a couple of them in Milwaukee. We got a couple of food deserts in Milwaukee already. But for the government to get control of the food, they already trying to damage the water because we know we need the water. They know we need food. They know we need shelter. So the government is trying to take everybody's generational wealth away, which is land and property.
Yep.
And that's why they give you affordable housing, because they don't want you to own nothing.
Yep.
And once I get you in affordable housing, I can snatch that from you whenever I feel like it.
That's true. That's true. And it seems like it's going even more like that even in Texas. We have a lot of land, and that's something that a lot of people don't feel too good about down here. Do you guys have a lot of land out there in Wisconsin that's just open for farmland and things like that? Are they swapping out a lot of that for apartment complexes like they're trying to do here?
Well, they're trying to swap it for apartments, but they're also trying to swap it up. I mean, gather it all up for data centers, which would damage the water, damage the forestry. I believe that we just have to open up our eyes and say, hey, wait, whoa, what's going on? That we got to protect our family farmers, that they'll be able to pass it down to the next generation. We got to stop here in Wisconsin. We got to stop letting people that don't live in Wisconsin buy up all our land. We got to stop them from buying up all our houses, and then they become slumlords because they don't live here. But they taking all of the resources from here to wherever they live. So we gotta cut back on allowing outsiders to buy up everything.
Yeah. That's always the key, is keeping it within and building within. What do you think that you can do to prevent, like you mentioned, data centers? What we all think in general, data centers are just going to be a terrible thing all over the nation. In Wisconsin, you've already mentioned that that's something that you don't want around. What is your plan to kind of keep that away? Do you have a plan? Have you thought about that yet?
Well, see, and that's the beauty part about it. It's not my plan, it's the people's plan. I work for the people. Definitely. If you say you don't want it, you don't have to have it. If you say you want it, you got to understand we're there to represent the people. We're not there to represent ourselves. And if I go in with a me agenda, then I failed the people already. I have to go in with we the people over the party agenda, making sure that I'm there to represent them. Because I don't know about Texas, but Wisconsin, we already got taxation without representation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, so we need someone that's going to really represent us. And the thing about it is, we got to put an end to the lie. And the lie is your family member that's on the other side is not your enemy.
There you go.
You got to be able to understand that y'all just see it differently.
There you go.
I might want to go to Texas, and my uncle might want to go to Texas. I want to drive. He want to fly. So now we're not going to speak to each other because one of us flew and one of us drove.
Yeah, that's how they think it should be.
Yeah. But what we forgot was God gave all of us a free will to do and make the decisions that we feel at that time, whether it align with God or not. We have the right for that decision. And so I like to tell people this: whatever decision you make, I hope you're willing to answer to it later, because you're going to answer to it. But it's not my job to suppress you or to force you to do something you don't really want to do.
Yeah.
Just
definitely.
like when COVID was out.
Oh,
now, and I gotta say this because this is the most funniest thing, and it's funny because again we don't think. Right? The same people that hollered "my body, my choice" when it came to abortion didn't believe in "my body, my choice" when it came to the vaccine.
You preaching to the choir right now. I think there's nobody in this chat who don't agree with that.
So my thing is this: we tell these people we want your best interests. We lie to them and we'll say your best interest. We really are looking to do things the way it needs to be done, and we want to do it. So the people is running around hollering before COVID, "My body, my choice. My body, my choice." Then when COVID came, it was no more "my body, my choice." It was just force that people lost their jobs. They lost their livelihood because they was not giving them no choice. So you "my body, my choice," but then you didn't give a choice. We had a Republican governor here in Milwaukee that always told the people he was for them, and I'm saying it first on here, but I'm finna do a post on it to show the people how people don't really care about you. They just pushing an agenda that does not line up with your life. So we had a Republican governor that said that all his term as governor, and he ran for president, but he didn't get that far. And he says Democrats are evil. Democrats don't like you. Then he turns around and make a commercial with. At the time he was the former governor. He makes a commercial with a former Democrat governor telling the people to take the jab.
Oh, man.
Even when the jab didn't even know when the jab didn't even know the side effects. So how are you telling people something is safe if you don't even know the side effects of what you're telling them to take? Now y'all friends, now y'all close, now y'all all of that in a bag of chips.
Mm-hmm.
And you playing with people's lives, telling them, I think all of us need to be vaccinated. Okay, what's the side effects of the shots? We don't know. So if you don't know, why would you want me to take something you don't even know the side effects?
Right. It could be death. You don't know. It could be anything. My arm could fall off tomorrow morning. You know?
Now let me show you how they play. I don't know about Texas. I'm only going to talk about Wisconsin, okay?
Okay.
So let me show you how they played us. They told us let me say this first. During COVID in 2020, I was traveling the state and I was speaking at rallies with frontline doctors and everything, and they were sharing some things and how to keep your family safe and all of that. But our elected officials told us it's deadly. Y'all got to stay away from one another. You know, you can't even go to the hospital, see your loved ones. You can't go to a nursing home, see your loved ones. You know, y'all stay separate.
Yeah.
But that year, the Bucks won the championship. They were celebrating, no masks, hugging one another. And then our elected officials called for a parade to celebrate the NBA champion.
Yeah.
No masks, thousands of people.
Was this 2021 or
2020?
Or I think
2020.
I thought the Lakers
2020, 2021.
The bubble? They might have.
The Lakers won the bubble.
Late. Yeah, so it was after the bubble, you're saying. The one right after the bubble?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Wait a minute, I'm finna get it for you now.
Okay.
2021, the Bucks won the championship.
Yep, 2020. That's what I figured.
Yep, and they were
still COVID time.
Yeah, they were pushing COVID. They were pushing the shots. They were telling you to separate. And they have a parade of thousands of people celebrating the Bucks winning the championship.
Yeah.
Now, 2 weeks after the excitement of the championship goes away, the elected officials get back on TV. They got back on TV with a mask on and say, wear your mask.
And then they turn around and take it off when they get off. That's how
You
it
know
works.
it. You know, as soon as the camera's off.
Yeah, yep, that's exactly how it worked. Yeah, I actually I have my own fair share of experiences with the COVID, and I didn't think it was what they said it was. I thought it was a way for them to control us and to see if they can. And like they said from the beginning, there was rumors that it was a lab-grown virus. And I said that from the beginning that it wasn't what it was. It's like a lab-grown flu, all different things. People told me, no, it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. I was working at the prison at the time. And, you know, inmates aren't going to wear their masks. They don't care how many times you ask them nicely. They don't care.
Right.
They're not there because they follow rules. They're there because they break them. And mind you, I'm wearing a stab-proof vest. I'm in maximum security. It's super hot. I take my mask off a lot of times. They had me escort 300 inmates that I had no clue at the time, but they were actually all tested positive of COVID. I escorted them all over from one pod to the next, and I didn't catch any COVID. And once I found out later on in the shift that they all had COVID, I thought COVID was a hoax. I thought it was all fake because I was like, man, I was walking around, and when you escort them, you're holding them, you're touching them, you're right next to them. You can't, you know, they're handcuffed. You can't let go of them. So it's not that we didn't get in close enough contact. We did. I was closer than you could be, you know. Why would I not get COVID? You know, I felt like it was all a hoax.
And I'm going to show you how much of a hoax it was and what they did. If COVID was so bad, why didn't doctors die that was treating COVID patients?
Yeah. I didn't hear much about that. You know, I seen one story where I think they tried to make it seem like that. But I feel like they were saying everybody was dying from COVID. I had a grandmother. She lived in New York. She was 81 years old. She was just about to pass away anyway. You know, we already knew she was getting older and sick, you know. And soon as COVID sparked off, all of a sudden, she got COVID. And that was what she passed from. When she passed away, we didn't know that she had COVID. But after she passed, we were told that she had COVID.
Let me tell you what happened. There was a man in Florida, died from a motorcycle accident. The reporter that did the story on him dying on a motorcycle accident, they had him do a story on death on COVID. And do you know that man's name was on that list?
Oh, I know. I 100% believe it. They used to come out every day. Oh, 1 million people died from COVID this week. And I'm like, how many people are in America? You know, like every couple of weeks is 10 million more. Like what is going on?
But you know what? So COVID was so powerful that it wasn't that they made it seem like it was so powerful. But did you notice COVID was never powerful against Black Lives Matter when they was tearing up everything?
Man,
when they was marching, when they was marching in the street, when they was rioting,
the whole time,
when they knocked down statues and all of that, there was no spike in COVID during that time.
Right. Yeah. It was a couple. I mean, we were still going to the clubs here in Texas. So, you know, I felt good every day, you know, and, you know, I had a good time. And during COVID, I was born in 2001. So I'm a year after. So if it started COVID started 2020. I was 19, 20. Yeah, I was having a good time during COVID. And I didn't get sick not once. 19, 20, 21. You know, I was just fine. And felt just good. Didn't get a sniffy nose. Matter of fact, I haven't gotten sick in years up until like earlier this year. I got the flu. But during COVID, I didn't get anything. Not sniffles, nothing. Not until COVID completely vanishes, then I get sick.
Right. Yeah, because, you know, everything was COVID then. You sneezed, it was COVID, you know.
Yep.
And
that's exactly how it worked.
Yeah, but if I was governor during that time, one of the things that I would have done is put the truth out there and let families make their decision themselves. I would not put a mandate that you got to stay away from your loved ones. I would not. Now in Wisconsin, they did what's called a mandate, and they mandated the church to be closed, but not the liquor store. During the most crucial time, shouldn't the church be open for people to pray, people to get some encouraging words, people to have hope? But
Yeah.
you want to shut the church down, but you want to leave the liquor stores open.
Right. And there was lines in the liquor stores.
Oh yes.
They wasn't 6 feet apart either. You know. So I definitely think that was something that was a major fault. They did it on purpose. You know, they wanted to keep people out of the church. They wanted to keep people out of schools. They wanted the community to be, or the environment, the world, America, the citizens to be dumb. You know, to take them out of school for 2 years and have them do it on Zoom, where they're literally doing it on a tablet or a computer. All the answers are on the internet. Why would we even? Why is that a thing? Why is that something that we go to? Just the different things that they would do. It just made no sense to me. But I kind of want to pivot a little bit, and I want to get into. So you're independent and you're a write-in ballot.
Yes.
Now that's it. Some would say that's two things kind of to overcome. And before I even really get into how do you feel that it is that you can overcome those things with those two things being against you? What is it for the people who don't know? What is a write-in ballot? Why is it that somebody becomes a write-in ballot instead of the primary?
Well, in Wisconsin, independents don't have a primary period. They go all the way to November. But the write-in is not hard at all. And the reason I say that is, how many times you went to the polls and you saw two names, you didn't like either one, but you wanted to vote, so you hit other and wrote probably your name in or somebody else's name in, right? So what I did, I went to our election commission, Wisconsin Election Commission, and I followed their instructions to become a write-in candidate. And so in November, all the people have to do, because you're going to go to the poll anyway, just go in, go to the governor, hit other, and write in David D. King.
David D. King. Okay,
Yes.
So if you guys are looking to, and this is for if you guys didn't know in general, as well as for this specific running as well. When you guys are looking to vote for David D. King, make sure you check that other box and write it in. But if you are ever looking, because a lot of people they don't understand what a write-in ballot is. Like I told a couple other people that I was telling, to say I'm going to be talking to a write-in ballot, and they didn't know what it was. They was like, "What is a write-in ballot?" And a lot of people don't, honestly. So that's why I thought it would be good to kind of for you to explain it yourself, because a lot of people they just don't understand that.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, they used to have it where you wrote, when you go vote, you would write someone's name in, but now they just try to make it easy for you, and they have the name on there. I think it's time that we go back, and write. I believe that the last governor's race, 890,000 voters didn't vote in the last governor race, and they felt they didn't have nobody to vote for. So, given that third choice is saying, you know what, we the people, we can do this. All we got to do is go in and write the name down. It's that simple. To write down the name, David D. King. How I got here was normally I would go get all my signatures myself. I would go out and get all the signatures we need. And one of my friends, she would always go with me, and we would compete to see who get the most signatures. But she couldn't come because of some health reasons and everything, so we wasn't able to do it. So we got sabotaged. We had an individual that we paid their organization to go out and get the signatures for us. And God is good. God is always going to warn you when things are getting ready to come your way. And so what God did was he showed me through a friend of mine that the people we hired was going to sabotage us. And what they did, they had children mind you, little kids out there collecting signatures. So what they did was they had these children, these babies now, collecting signatures. They took pictures of them, they sent it to me, they let me know. And what they thought was going to happen was that we was going to turn those signatures in, so that way when they challenge it, it would have made news that I had little babies out there. What kind of candidate is this? Got babies out there breaking the law, getting signatures, and but we did not present those signatures.
So they tried to almost catch you up with fraud.
Yes, but God had already showed us, and he allowed someone to send us the pictures of these babies. And when I say babies, I'm talking about they couldn't have been no more than 11, 12.
Man, kids, elementary school age.
Yes. So they was trying to sabotage us and thinking, oh, we'll go away. Why? Because here's what's happening. You got the Democrats says, oh, he's going to take votes from the Democrats. And you got Republicans saying, oh, he's going to take votes from the Republican. And I told them, you both are correct. I'm taking votes from both of y'all.
Yes, sir.
You know, so you have to understand this. I understand being in politics is part of my purpose. And anytime you got purpose, you got to have passion. And so my passion is to see Wisconsin better. So my purpose is to make sure Wisconsin is better. And I always tell people my purpose is always bigger than my problems.
Definitely.
And I choose courage over comfort.
Definitely. That's how it has to be. A lot of people, they're too comfortable or too complacent to choose to elect to use their courage and actually stand up for what they actually do believe in and what they actually, feel. A lot of people, they're scared, especially nowadays, with it being so available to you to say what you want to say with social media and the internet and everything else. It's still so many people who feel that they just can't really be heard or say what they want to say anymore. And it's almost like they want you to lose that courage of saying how you really feel. You have to fall into one way or other, or you get shunned, you get labeled one way or the other without even being that way. And that's one of the good things about, I guess that's one of the good things about being independent is you don't have to be in that box. You get to be able to say what you want to say, do what you need to do. Hopefully that's the right choice for the people, that they could see, hey, look, we don't need to be a part of either party, especially in Wisconsin. It's time for a change. I know that Wisconsin has had, I believe you guys have been Democratic for quite a while as far as the governor's seat.
Well, not really, because he did 2 terms, and then before him it was a Republican that did 2 terms. So, it's just been, I think right now everybody is waiting on a cold glass of water, and I'm that cold glass of water to help them be able to do what needs to be done. And I want to say this too, if I can, for those that are watching, and if you are someone that are sick and tired of being sick and tired, whether you live in Wisconsin or not, you can join in helping us make history and become the first write-in governor candidate to win by going to our website. Now, I will call you guys the Air Force, all right? I'm the Marines. I'm on the ground. I'm doing what I need to do. So I'm calling for the Air Force. The Air Force always bring the supplies, right? So I'm asking you guys to go online, go to kingforgovernor.com and make a donation. Say, hey, I'm standing with you, even though I'm not in Wisconsin, but I want to stand with you. And if you want to stand with me, just go to kingforgovernor.com and make it and make an Air Force donation and says, hey, we standing with you in this race right here. And if you know somebody in Wisconsin, say, hey, listen, this is the man y'all need to lead Wisconsin in the right direction.
There you go. Well, I do kind of, I did want to ask you one more thing before we started wrapping this up. I wanted to know as well, I know you mentioned in 2008 you ran for office. How about any time in between then? Is this, did you take a break from it for a minute, or did you, continue to run for that meantime?
Oh no, I kept fighting. I'm more like Abraham Lincoln. I ran more than one race. So 2010, I ran on the Republican side for Secretary of State. That election was stolen from me because it was a Republican landslide at the top of the ticket, and I'm the only one that didn't win. And it's funny that I didn't win because I had more votes than the Democrat governor candidate. And numbers don't lie. So it was some funny business going on because ain't nobody voting for a Secretary of State and not vote for the governor. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And my opponent ended up with 70,000 more votes than the governor did, and on the Democrat side. So how did he get 70,000 more votes than that? But the Republicans didn't say anything because they couldn't control me. So they rather keep a dead Democrat in that seat than a Republican they could not control.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
In 22, I ran for lieutenant governor on the Republican ticket. They wanted me to sign some little agreement, or I was not allowed to speak at our state convention, and I wouldn't sign it. So, I'm one of those people. You can't tell me how to live. You can't tell me what to do. I'm not a yes man. I'm going to be me, whether y'all like it or not. I was going around and telling them, y'all did some things I'm not happy with. I'm a Second Amendment man. So why would you give me concealed carry instead of constitutional carry?
There you go. We don't need any concealed. Well,
Right.
I like constitutional carry. I carry it concealed, but I want it to be constitutional. I don't want to have to carry it concealed. And if I lift my shirt up to reach over to pump some gas and my shirt slightly lifts up, I don't want to be told I'm brandishing my firearm. Yeah.
And not only that, but you giving the government is making us pay them to have permission to exercise our rights.
Right. Yeah, to get a license. Yeah.
Right. So we should have received constitutional carry. All right. Then Republicans say, well, we the party of God. No, you're not. Nothing you write is standing for God. Nothing you put down is standing on the principles of God. And only time you say you're the party of God when you're talking to a church full of believers. We don't see your light. Where's your light?
Yeah. I see that on both sides. Honestly, I see both of them play on, and it bothers me sometimes when they play on using God, and they throw that into their sentence every couple of times, and then you could tell that they don't bear any fruit. And a real believer could tell when somebody bears fruit, and like you said, the light. You can tell, especially when you're in a position of power. And a lot of these people, they have the position, they have the opportunity to do what they're supposed to do, but their light isn't shining.
Oh, yeah. Because here's the thing. The Bible says it this way, and this is why I love it. The Bible says, if you're ashamed of me before men, then I'll be ashamed of you before my Father, which is in heaven. But I left a piece out, because the piece that I left out is where we have the problem at. Jesus said it this way. He said, if you're ashamed of me and my word before men, then I'm ashamed of you before my Father. So nobody is ashamed to say, I'm a Christian, but they're ashamed to stand on his word. Why? Mm-hmm. Because standing on his word is going to be controversy.
Yep.
Standing on his word is going to put you on an island by yourself.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So they're afraid to stand on his words. And so if we're and one thing that I try to get people to understand is this. Yes, I'm a man of God, but I'm not going to walk around and try to beat people up with my Bible in my hand, because Jesus told me that I'm the light of the world, a city that sitteth on a hill that cannot be hidden. Then he said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good work and glorify the Father. Not glorify me, but glorify the Father. So whether you're an atheist or a believer, I'm going to make sure you're both taken care of.
Amen.
Whether
Amen.
you're a Democrat or a Republican, I'm going to be a governor for both, and I'm going to make sure the people are taken care of. Whether you're rich or poor, I'm going to be a governor for both. So it's not about what are you going to do only for this. Not it's not about a this. It's about us. And so that is one of and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why even mainstream media won't even do an interview with me right now. That is why conservative radio hosts that I even sat on platforms with, that I even spoke at tea parties with, would not even do an interview with me.
Yeah.
Because they want to keep it a two-party system.
Yeah, yeah. They don't want anybody to come out and say that. And you don't get to see a lot of light get shined on independents, honestly, ever. Whenever you start to hear the races, you only hear about left and right. You never hear the middle ground. They don't even mention it a lot of times, especially whenever you get to the very large, like, presidential elections. You never hear about that. I can't think of who ran as an independent for the presidential term. Well, I remember a little bit of this election, but the previous election, I don't know who was running then. They don't ever talk about the independents.
Right.
But what I was wondering, with that being said, why is now the right time for you to, really be able to get into a position to put people over the parties? Why is now the right time?
Number one, there's no incumbent. It's an open seat, number one.
Okay.
Number two, people are sick and tired of both parties telling them, this is your candidate. This is who we want you to support. Whether they, they don't do it fair, where you have a real primary and then the people choose. The party chooses for you. And if the party chooses for you, then the party is still controlling you instead of you controlling the party. And so there's people on both sides of the aisle that's sick and tired of this. They sick and tired of the lies. They sick and tired of the mess, and nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Nothing gets done. I tell them the most powerful thing that we can ever do for Wisconsin is have an independent governor that is not owned by special interest groups, that is not owned by a party, but can govern and govern right. And this is why it's the best time. If there was not a third choice, a lot of people wouldn't even go to the poll.
I know it's starting to seem that way in a lot of places. It seems that a lot of places is no real option. It's something that you're starting to see a lot more too, of people sitting in the middle lately, especially with Trump being the president. You have a lot of people who was with Trump a lot when he first got elected. And even some of my close friends and family, they were pro-Trump. And then now with a lot of the things that are going on, they maybe don't like exactly how he's going about things, why he's doing it, how he's doing it. And you do hear a lot of people nowadays will claim to be independent, even people who were Democrats. And what I've seen a lot lately is, and I used to make it almost like a joke. I used to say, independent just means you really favor one party or another, but you just don't want to be part of the team. And I'll kind of make it a joke. But a lot of times you really do have more beliefs of one side or the other, but they just take it too far. And it's like, well, I can't go with what you're saying on that. That's crazy. I agree that people should have, let's say the Democrats, they do agree. You might agree that people should have different types of benefits, Social Security, welfare, food stamps. You might agree with that, but you might not agree with transgenderism being pushed out into the schools. You might not agree with all the just different little things that are going on, immigrants, illegal immigration, the little things that add up to be something huge whenever it goes against your morals. Or on the same side with Trump, some people, they agree with almost everything he says up until he started kicking everybody out the way he did. There's some people who never get over the story about the Blackhawks that pulled up to Chicago, the ice Blackhawks that they had. And what can you say? Like, it violated some rights. And because people were so polarizing on left and right, you just might be right about it might be time. Sometimes I think maybe not, but
well, here's the
it might
thing.
be.
Here's the thing, and this is why it's so beautiful for me as an independent. The pastor side of me, the servant side of me, want to take care of the social issues. All right, we got homelessness, our veterans are homeless. We got mental illness, drug overdose, human trafficking, sex trafficking, even now organs trafficking. So we have all of these things. I don't believe in a handout, but I do believe in a hand up. Okay, so that's the pastor side of me, and that favors a lot of people on the left. This man really cares. He works for the people, right?
Yeah.
The business side of me is over on the right. You're wasting too much money. You adding more taxes, which you don't really need. You just got to budget what you got. We need to shrink government. Government is getting too big. So that's the business side of me is saying, okay, we can go in here and we can fix this problem. We can shrink government. The pastor side of me said, oh, we can go over here too. And guess what? Social service used to be in the church, right? The churches used to be the social service. So let's go back to some of that. We need families strong. Why? Because if you got strong families, you got strong communities. You got strong communities, you got strong cities. You got strong cities, you got strong counties. You got strong counties, you got strong states. And that's that side of me. That's the pastor side. Let me help you become more self-sufficient, that you're not dependent on. And then the business side of me, okay, let's shrink government,
Right.
Because we need to shrink government. Let's keep our Wisconsin National Guards in Wisconsin. Let them not go fight a war that have not been okayed by Congress. So keep our National Guards in Wisconsin to do their job and their duty to protect Wisconsin.
Yeah. I can understand that. That's what they're there for.
Yes. So
I didn't know they had Wisconsin National Guard out there. I didn't even know they had Wisconsin National Guard out there.
Oh yeah. Every state got their own National Guards because every state is a nation by themselves.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had sent the Wisconsin National Guard out to.
No, they didn't send them out yet. They didn't send them. But what I'm saying is, because that's another thing that's going on. A lot of people is upset talking about defend our guards, keep our guards, and I think it's going national now. They're saying defend our guards. Do not allow our National Guards to leave the homeland and go. Right. If they're gone, who's going to protect us?
Definitely. Yeah, that's the truth.
And so,
that's the truth.
So those are the things that I look at. And then when you look at illegals, immigrants, a lot of Latinos voted for Trump. Why? Because they've been working. They got visas. They try to, make money, send it back to their family. And then all of a sudden, here come these illegals come over here and they give them a place to stay. In Chicago, they was letting them stay in the police station. A regular citizen of Chicago could not sleep in the police station unless he was arrested.
They had them in police stations and schools. All sorts of stuff, man.
And making sure they got food. And look at all the homeless people we got. They got, and I notice in almost every state, every city, you got what's called tent city.
Yep.
But we're not taking care of them.
We're taking care of the illegal immigrants.
No, we have to take care of our own first. Charity starts at home. We have to take care of us first. And, people get mad if you skip them in the grocery store line. Why are they not mad that people are skipping them to get the benefits that they can't even get?
Yeah, I think it's all a trick. I think, and you know what? Somebody told me the other day, they said, well, the government brought all these people over here and promised them things. And when you look at it, yes, Biden's administration, they didn't come over here because they were told that they're not allowed here. They came over here in vast numbers because they were offered something. They were offered handouts. And a lot of people were saying, well, you can't bring them all over here, give them the handouts, and then you change presidents. So you're like, nah, get out. We don't like you. We kick you out, And that's like one of the biggest things that you hear with that whole situation. People saying, I just don't like that that's happening or whatnot. And I understand that. But at the same time, there's people. I live in Texas, man. I do roofing. I hire roofing crews every day. I'll tell you what, they're not speaking English.
Right.
So, and most of them, they didn't get here 3 years ago. They got here 30 years ago. Their families got here 10 years ago, whatever the case is. You know, they've been here for a long time. They haven't been assimilated to where our culture is, but they have been here for a long time, and they have, been able to use up our resources for a long time. And the fact that we have so many people who will say, why can't they get those same benefits? Why can't they get what we get? Well, the thing is, they're getting more than us. They're getting better than us. There's people all the time that are getting told no to Section 8, but you have immigrants getting it. There's people in our community getting told all the time, oh, we're only going to give you $50 for food stamps because there you go. And that's the type of stuff that you're seeing left and right. Oh, well, you don't see them in voter. They can't vote. They're not able to vote. Well, the files just came out there. We've seen in Texas alone over 100,000 dead people voted in Texas this last election. Not to mention the 20,000 illegal immigrants. So, and not to mention that was in not just Texas, but 11 other states. I just use Texas as an example because it's so close to home for me. But you're seeing it all over the place. It's not the same as them getting what we get. Firstly, we've had generations pay into this. Because even now, if you retire today and you get Social Security, that Social Security is paid for by the people who are paying it right now. You know, it's not from way back then when you paid into it. You paid for the last generations.
And people don't. Oh, I'm so glad you said that because people don't understand how. So and here's what they're saying. Oh, they're using up Social Security. No, this is what's eating up Social Security. Each generation pays in for the generation before them. When you got a gap of people not working on free benefits, and now it's the next general time to get their Social Security, you ain't got nothing in the pot.
Yeah. Yep.
Because why?
Exactly it.
The one that's coming behind them ain't working.
Not even a little bit.
And so, I mean, we got a lot of work to do, and I know it ain't gonna happen overnight, but it can start November 3rd, especially in Wisconsin. It can start November 3rd. And I like to say on November 3rd, we're going to win as a write-in candidate, and that's going to be the shot that was heard around the world. Because they're going to be like, oh my God, what happened? The people have gotten tired. That's what happened. The people are sick of the lies. They're sick of being controlled. They're sick of, you got some people, they're getting government assistance right now here in Wisconsin, but they don't want to be on government assistance. So if they go out and get a job and they make $1 more than what the government say they can make, they snatch away child care. They snatch away their health care. They snatch away food stamps. So now how you going to make it, and you just getting started? So now you got a question. Do I try to prosper, or do I just stay here? Because I can't do it without it. I believe that we got to wean families off of government system. We can't just snatch it.
Right.
But because the biggest drug in Wisconsin right now and in this country is the drug called dependency. They depend on the government. And so we got to wean them off this drug and let them know you can have a better life.
Yeah. Yeah, way better.
Yes.
Now, so that all brings me into, I'm getting ready to close up with you here. It's been a great conversation, but I do want to ask you these two questions before we get off here. So if you're elected as the governor of Wisconsin, what are the first 3 priorities that you're going to tackle on day one?
Day one, 3 priorities. I'm going to call an emergency meeting with legislators and say, listen, we got to stop this property tax. Right now, our governor signed it that property taxes will go up for the next 400 years. So we need to first of all put a freeze on property tax, But we also got to put a freeze on appraisals too, because if we only freeze property taxes and every year your appraise goes up, by the time the freeze is over, now you got to pay all of that money, right? So we need to freeze it, and while we're freezing it, we need to look at our schools in every department to make sure that they are not wasting money. All right.
Okay.
The next thing I want to do is that I want to make sure every senior in Wisconsin that got in trouble when they was in their 20s, but never got in trouble again, get a pardon. And I'm going to tell you why. A senior that never got back in trouble, but still have that felony, can't get no housing because of the felony.
Yeah.
So we need to release them so they can have a place to live.
Right. I agree with that.
And so I want to make sure that what we do, we're doing it in a way, because we're going to audit. We're going to audit every department. We're going to audit our election commission to make sure all the dead voters is off the roll.
Right.
We got to get like you say, dead people ain't got no business voting. So we got to get them off the roll.
Got to.
We got to make sure this off the roll. We got to make sure that we sit down and find out, if we untie teachers' hand, what do you need to really be successful and allow our children to be taught? Because it can't be money. Everybody says, well, it's money. No, it's not money. What do you need? What's holding your hand that telling you, no, you can't do that, or no, you can't do that? Because here's the thing. If we don't fix the education system, the prison system the mouth of the prison system is going to open wide.
Most definitely.
And so we have to look at what can we do to make it better. Those flop cameras, oh my God, they gone. They gone. What do we need that for?
You know, if you mention the flock cameras being gone again, I'm gonna tell you need to come run for Texas. If we get too deep in on that, I'm gonna be writing out, getting a petition going to swap you out for our governor in Texas.
Hey, I'll come too. But I mean, come on now. We have to start to look at giving back the freedom and the rights that was taken little by government from us, so we can breathe. We need the government off our neck, so we can breathe. You know how, and this is the part I love the most. Every department we're going to go through, but you also got to understand, when the Dallas Cowboys got rid of Mike McCarthy and they brought in a new coach, that new coach brought in his team that sees what he sees and can buy into that vision. And that's something that we need. I need to remove some people from some department heads and say, hey, listen, if you can't do the job that I need done, you got to go. I need somebody there that can get this done, because we're wasting too much of taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
And the waste stops day one. The moment I'm sworn in, you better have your numbers in order, because the waste stopped day one.
There you go. Well, and that was something, you said something in there that I kind of wanted to speak about. You were talking about the pardons for the felons who, never did anything since 20. I think that's so important, because I worked in the prison. I know that there's a lot of inmates that are actually, they're good people. They made a mistake. I tell them all the time, the only thing that separates me and you is 2 seconds, a 2-second decision, maybe less. It only takes a split second to pull a trigger in a bad situation, And some of these people, they were protecting their daughter. They had rage from something that happened. Some of these people, they did do a heinous crime. I even bumped into some of the crazies out there. I worked in mental health unit for a short period of time too, So I've seen some of the crazy ones, but there's also some really good ones. And there's no hope for them after. The only thing that they can do, and the sad part is, if we know that they only did 5 years and this is their first time in prison, typically we say when they get out, we'll see you in another 5. Because That's what the statistics show. If you've only did 5 years, you've been a little bit rowdy or anything like that in prison, you're typically going to come back within 5 years. Most times when you go to prison. And for them to not have any avenue, any route to actually do better, but we're holding them to a higher standard because they messed up the first time, but there's no support, there's no help. They get all their rights taken away. They don't have anywhere to live unless they have somebody else sign a piece of paper saying that they can go live with them while they're on probation when they get out of prison. Different things like that. It's so hard for them to rehabilitate into society and just acclimate all over again. And not to mention it's like you time traveled. You went in, it was 2010, and now it's 2026. And you're looking around like, what is that? An iPhone? What do you mean? I had a BlackBerry. And so it's a whole different world. It's a whole different economy. Everything is completely different. And they paid they did their due to society. They already paid their dues. There's no need for them to keep beating the dead horse and just ruin these guys' lives forever. So I think that is something that would be great for Wisconsin if that was implemented for pardons for the people who are only one-time offenders, who have only did something at a younger age. These dudes deserve second chances. And a lot of people, they'll look at me crazy when I say that because I worked in the prison. But because I worked in the prison, I get to see it on a first-hand basis that a lot of these guys, they deserve a second chance. And the world turns their back on them. When I do prison ministry, I tell those young men, the person that committed the crime is not you. That person that committed the crime was on emotions. Yeah. And those emotions got the best of you. That's not who you really are. So don't define yourself off of the mistake you made being in your emotions. While you here, spend time with God to find the real you. So this will be your last time here. When I do the jobs and everything, I had felons just got out of prison yesterday, came in my office and they went straight to work. So, so I know how that makes them feel when somebody gives them a second chance on life, even after they made a mistake. And they thinking, oh my God, it's going to take a while. Ain't nobody going to hire me. And then they was told, oh, go see Pastor King. And then they come over there and I'd be like, okay, go get some non-slip shoes or go get some steel toes. And then when they be back here at this time, I'm taking you to work tonight. They be like, what? I'm like, tonight I'm taking you to work. You're going to work tonight. So they be like, wow. And it's amazing because they'll say stuff like, you saved my life, because there was no hope for me and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I didn't, my mind was already starting to, how should I say, drift to the other side and say, you know what, you got to feed your children. So the best way to do it is go up by the store and rob somebody. Right. But we was able to change a lot of lives that way too. So I'm just grateful to God that I was able to, and we still doing it. But I'm just grateful to God. And this is why I don't make no promises. I always tell people, I'm just going to do what I'm already doing. Help changing lives, help making it better, making Wisconsin a great place that people are moved. So, I was telling my fiance, I was like, man, if this guy wins Wisconsin, maybe we'll move out there. It was like, nah, I don't know about Wisconsin. I said, maybe we'll move out there, man. He seems like he'll run it good. And we both looked at each other like, Wisconsin. But, it's because of a history of it not being a desirable place. How do you think you can change it to become more desirable?
I'm not going to use the word desirable, okay? I'm going to switch that word.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, my goal is not to make it desirable. My goal is to make Wisconsin sexy, okay? And when people see people coming together, whether they started in the beginning of it, the middle of it or even at the end, right? They want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of. Who don't want to be a part of a community that your children is safe?
Yeah, right.
Who don't want to be a part of a community if you're an entrepreneur and it's entrepreneur friendly? You know, who don't want to be a part of a community where we put our farmers first and making sure that the farmers. I even looked at Tennessee. Tennessee has a health plan for their farmers, and 14 other states adopted it. I'm looking at that right now to see how we can implement that here in Wisconsin, because we got to make sure our farmers are taken care of as well. You see what I'm saying? I would rather live in a state where the people are coming together, where the people are, they got a mind to work, they're rolling up their sleeves, they're settling down, they're putting the 20% down that they don't agree with and picking up that 80% and working together.
Right.
Right?
Definitely.
And so, because that's what's keeping us apart, 20%.
Right.
80% we agree on. 80% we can work with that. Just like I tell people all the time, you got people in Wisconsin that are Dallas Cowboy fans. I hate to say it, but Dallas Cowboy fans.
American team, we everywhere.
Packer fans, but the biggest fan base is the Steelers. I hate to tell you that, but it's the Steelers.
I'm sorry for you guys.
But you got them all, right?
Yeah.
On the same block. The 20% is we don't agree on who team is the best. But the 80% is we can sit down and watch that football game and enjoy one another company.
Yep. That's the truth. Or go ahead.
No, I was just saying, so why not focus? Let's take and put on the shelf that 20% as a state. And let's come together with the 80% that we agree on, and let's work together. It's not about being a Democrat or a Republican or independent. It's about being Wisconsinites.
There you go.
And we want it to be a place that when we pass a baton to our children, it's not a mess and it's not full of hatred.
Right. Now here's going to be the question for you that everybody in Wisconsin is going to want a solid answer on. What are you going to do to bring back Giannis Antetokounmpo? No, I'm kidding.
Actually, I'll tell Giannis, stay where you at, and I'll go get Steph Curry and call up
LeBron.
No, man, not no. I do not want Wisconsin to be known as Flop City, a flop state. So no LeBron.
Oh, I see what it is. You don't want two kings of Wisconsin.
Well,
you got Dr. King and the king of basketball. It's not enough room for the two of you. I see.
Well, technically, he's not even the king of basketball, but
man.
I look at it like this. When it comes to basketball, you got different eras, and it was, for example, you had the Bad Boys, the Detroit. I don't think LeBron James would have went to the hole on the Bad Boys.
LeBron James is a middle linebacker.
But when they got through with him,
185. When
they got through with him going through the Bad Boys, he would have been a small wide receiver.
Nah, see what it was is they all did hardcore drugs back then. They was doing cocaine in between halftime events, and so you thought they was tough. Really, they was coked out. Everybody thought they was tough. They was just crazy as hell from all that coke.
But you got to understand though, LeBron flopped now. He ain't gonna flop. You had to play the Boston Celtics. You had to play the Lakers. You had to play the 76ers. I'm talking about when you left the game, you was bleeding.
Yeah.
Something was broken. You had to put on a face guard. You had to do something to play.
You know what I think of when I see people who play really physical playing basketball? I say, They don't know how to play basketball. They're not good, so they use brute force. See, the thing is, the game shifted to skill, pure skill. You got people, Steph Curry, when you walk on the basketball court, when he walks into the arena, pick him up, guard him. I don't care if he's in the stands. You have so many different people that it's just so much more skill. Or I won't even say skill. I'll say the evolution of the game makes it to where LeBron has to face way harder people. There wasn't this technology for you to train this hard with Jordan.
You got to remember now, they made it softer, right?
Yeah.
And you look at a person like Jordan. If Jordan would play in this era, he'll score 60. Where they can't put their hand on him, he'll score 60.
You know why he wouldn't? You know why he wouldn't? Because this isn't a pump fake anymore. This isn't a pump fake anymore. Somebody's snatching that. Where they're quicker, they're smarter, they've seen it all. The things that Jordan was doing was amazing for his time. But nowadays, just look at, if you compare Allen Iverson to Stephen Curry. Allen Iverson, he's going to give you all, well, you're going to be winded when you guard him face up. But as soon as he passes the ball, it's, I got to take a break now. Stephen Curry, he's still running around. You like, oh, man, you passed the ball, now I'm running even harder. Like, it's different. Everybody stepped it up. It's kind of like anything. You take what there was, you learn their game, you perfect it, and then you add your own style on top of that.
That's just like football, right?
Yeah.
You had a Roger Staubach that had to play against a Mean Joe Green. And mind you, there was no roughing the passer back then.
Right.
So you think a Mahomes could have played back then?
I know. Tom Brady did. Tom Brady played back then. Tom Brady is the lightest, weakest quarterback we've ever seen in our life. Tom Brady is built like the average pretzel at Annie Ann's pretzel shop.
And Tom Brady was like LeBron James. If they got too close to him, roughing the passer.
He played in a lot of different. When did Tom Brady get drafted? Early 2000s. What was it?
And every time he played the Steelers, how many people on the Steelers got fined for a hit?
I don't know. I've never liked the Steelers, so I don't watch the Steelers games. But I know they did deflate the footballs. That was true that came out.
Oh yeah,
but the NFL has been the same since the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. Ever since that, it got watered down. Somehow we ain't went back. It's all messed up now.
Well, see, if your owner stopped playing like he's the governor and let the coaches coach, y'all might make it back to the playoffs.
They made some shifts, especially this year is going to be a big. It's going to be a big fill out year. We're going to fill out if we really made a difference, or do we really have to wait for Jerry Jones to pass away? Because either Jerry Jones finally had his wake up call, and we get it now. Like, okay, Jerry Jones is good. He woke up. He realized his way ain't the way. We got to switch some things up. Listen to your coaches. You noticed last year you didn't hear him as much talk. And so this year we'll really know because we got an opportunity to put some more people on defense, get a new defensive coordinator, things like that. So we'll know by the end of this year. Do we need to wait for Jerry Jones to pass away, or is he on to something? How are we turning this around?
So let me ask this question. If the Steelers go to the Super Bowl, so then was the problem in Dallas Jerry Jones or Mike McCarthy?
I don't think. I mean, obviously, we can't ignore that Jerry Jones has been a problem, right? Jerry Jones has 100% been a problem. I'm saying that he might have turned over a new leaf. I don't think it was Mike McCarthy. I think that Jerry Jones, he's like 80 years old, man. As you get to a certain point and you've had long money for a long time, it's not too many people who could tell you anything. And especially when you feel like, hey, look, I still got more rings than most football teams. I make more money than all of them. We're the most successful team. Yeah, we don't win the most championships, but who's making more money than us without the championships? And that's how he looked at it for a long time. And he looked at it as just show business, not necessarily to win anything. But I think he's starting to realize a lot of us as Cowboys fans, we're getting tired of it. We're getting tired of just watching the show. We're like, hey, look, if you're not trying to win, you starting to see a lot of people look around and say, all right, I don't know if I want to be a Cowboys fan anymore because this is getting
I'm
old.
surprised you didn't go to the Texans.
Well, I'm a proud Texas. I'm a Texan at heart. Like not Texan football team, but I love every Texas team. So like, I was born in San Antonio, so I like the Spurs. But I also go to Dallas every month, so I love the Mavericks. I go to Mavericks games all the time. Same thing with football. I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. Not gonna lie to you and tell you that Texans are up there with the Cowboys for me because they're not. But I like Houston too. Now, would I switch over to them? No, no way in hell. But still, I still like them too. It's good to watch whenever the Cowboys ain't playing.
Okay.
But I think though that we're gonna find out this upcoming year with the Cowboys, and either we're gonna shock everybody, or everybody's gonna be talking enough stuff that we're used to it.
I know, because Stephen A. Smith can't wait to talk against y'all.
I don't like Stephen A. Smith, man. I used to like him, but I think he's the reason why people don't look at athletes the way they used to. Now everybody just talks bad about athletes, and it started around his group.
Right.
They made it to where now athletes, like no matter what LeBron James does, he's bad. No matter if you have a narrative against him, you're never going to stop painting that narrative. Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers of all time. And they talk about that man like he's a bum because he went to Golden State. And it's like, okay, when do we stop glorifying these, and not necessarily that we should praise them or anything, but appreciate them for what they did to the game, instead of just find a reason to hate on them every chance. And then when it comes to politics,
I think when you look at the politics side of everything, the business side of it, that's where all the fight and argument come from. Like Jordan say, Jordan, Barkley, Shaq, they had to put up and produce before they was offered real money. Now people coming in and they getting the real money before they produce, and a lot of them be a bust.
Yeah.
So
a lot of them.
Yeah, so you look at it and be like, and that's just like right now with the college now. The college can get money now, and
it's getting out of control already.
Yeah, and they got this portal, and a lot of kids doesn't understand the portal because once you go in, if I gave you a full ride and you put yourself in that portal and nobody picked you up, you lost your full ride.
I didn't even know that. I never been in NIL sports, but that's something I don't pay attention to college at all. Weirdly enough, I pay attention to the recruits their last year or two. If I think they might go to the Cowboys, but if not, I don't really. I like it better when you can get to know them a little bit better, a little bit longer. Right. I like to watch them.
I gotta ask you this because you're a LeBron fan. So I gotta ask you this.
Fan. I think he's the greatest to ever play. Roll the ball out, but fan, nah. But
Okay,
go ahead.
That's that 20% we're gonna disagree. We're gonna put that on the shelf. But but no. And this I had a group of young men that I take to the ballpark, and they work for me, and we volunteer and they do things. But we had a conversation, and the conversation they was talking about different ball players' sons that's either coming up now or that's already there. And one of the questions came up was like this: do you think that if LeBron James would have retired, Bronny would be in the NBA right now?
It depends.
Given his college record,
it depends, right? Because Bronny was a number one prospect until he had his heart injury. When he went down with his heart, that was what changed it. If LeBron James retired, I don't think there's a rush on getting him to the NBA. I think they allow him to build up through college, because a lot of people get hurt in college and build up their reputation. That's where you get the opportunity to really build your confidence and build a reputation of what you do and what your craft is. And that was kind of stripped away from him. And then the way they kind of did him, it's like he got drafted in the second round, the last pick, you know, and then everybody hated him for it. Like when the whole world hates you all day, every day, and they at first they loved you, and now for no reason they just absolutely hate you, and you're super young, and all that's on your back, and not to mention your dad is LeBron James. Like you got to live up to that. Everything you do, they comparing you to LeBron. So I think that if he did retire, it would have given him a little bit more wiggle room to be himself and grow into his own game, and he might have been even better than he is now. That's what
I give you that. I give you that. But
yeah, because I think there was a lot of that shadow in him.
That's just like Milwaukee Bucks, right? You had Giannis and his two brothers, right?
Yeah, it's close.
Giannis left, and the Bucks showed them how much he wanted their brothers, and they got rid of both of the brothers. Right? And so you think about it. They only there because you there. You leave, they gone. But guess what? He also knew Pat Riley was not that kind of president either. So he knew Pat Riley wasn't taking his brothers to sit on the bench.
Yep. Wasn't gonna happen.
It wasn't gonna happen at all.
Yeah.
You know, you can't carry your weight. You gotta go.
You seen LeBron James going back to team up with Giannis, to team up with Giannis in Miami. They leaked it today. They didn't mean to tell everybody. He was supposed to announce it on the 27th, but the people who were supposed to, like, what show he was supposed to get on, they leaked it because they made a post, like, essentially, like, they accidentally released the promo before it was time to release the promo. So they came out with that today. Yep, going to Miami, back home. Well, his second home, back to Miami. I think that's a good place for him to retire.
No, he needs to go home now. He needs to retire now.
I think. I don't know. Why not? Why not stay around if you still got something to give to the game? No, I like to see him play.
Here's the thing about it. You and I cannot take a day off from our job. This man get paid millions and you taking days off? Kobe never took a day off unless he was totally injured that he couldn't work.
When is he taking? You mean, so the way they do it now is not the same as they did it before. A lot of times when they take days off, these teams, the reason why they make it to their 40s now, right? Like Steph Curry is 39 years old. All the players are old now, right? All the superstars from 10 years ago are still the same superstars, but they're 35 plus. It's because the coaches and the teams and the owners, they implemented load management after the Spurs run, right? So, or no, was it? Yeah, when the Spurs started winning again in the 2010s, Greg Popovich rolled out the management. I just said the word. I don't know why I can't think of it. Load management. He rolled that out. The whole league adopted it. So once they adopted it, because they was able to see, remember Tim Duncan played till he was 39 years old, and he was playing really good. And after that, everybody else wanted to do it. They adopted it. They made that part of the league. That's why everybody takes more games off, even the players who don't want to. That you have players all the time who say, like, for example, Joel Embiid, he was supposed to get the MVP. He missed it by 2 days because they made him load manage. Well, guess what? When you don't get the MVP, you don't get to get more money on your check next year. When you don't get these accolades, you don't. So they changed the rules as well to where you have to play 65 games or more to be able to get any accolade. But then what they do is they limit how many games you can play because they want to, one, not pay you as much, and two, they want you to play on our team for 10 years instead of 3, and then you're injured, and then we got to go get somebody else in the draft to replace you. They want you to be here for 10, 15. So he didn't really, maybe some of them he took off, but I think as the league as a whole is going that way versus they couldn't do that before. And they didn't need to because, like I said, they were all drugged up. They didn't even feel anything. Injury.
All I know is this. The day that they take off, they should refund some of these people their money back. Yeah. So these people pay that money to see them, and now they're not playing. Right. If it was me, I'd have been hollering, give me my money. Because I paid to see LeBron, and he's not
Right.
playing. Give me my money.
Yep. Yep. And that's what a lot of people say now too, and that's kind of been what a lot of people, even like Stephen A. He said that before too, because he's one of the main people who talks about how they're forced to load manage,
Right.
and he was saying the same thing. And I remember Kobe Bryant's last season. I went to a Spurs game because the Lakers was coming to Texas. I gotta go, right? Kobe Bryant was my favorite player ever, 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 ever.
So you had to see the GOAT, didn't you?
Hey, I would say Kobe is. If I had to say Michael Jordan or Kobe, I'll put Kobe over Michael Jordan too.
Really?
Me personally, I would. I think the challenges Kobe Bryant had to go through is nothing like what Jordan had to go through. He was good, and everybody loved him for being good. Kobe Bryant didn't get the love until 24. He didn't get love as 8. He didn't get love as number 8. Once he turned to 24, he started getting love towards the back end of his career when Shaq left. Jordan, he didn't even go to the playoffs his first 4 years or first 6 years. And then when he went, yeah, he won, but he had Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, the whole squad, right? Nobody mentioned that once. But they just said Jordan. Steve Kerr hit the game winner 3. Jordan. LeBron James passed it to J.R. Smith in the corner to hit the 3. Oh, you're a bum. You had to pass it over to Ray Allen to hit the game winner to win. You didn't win. Ray Allen won. Like the same thing with Kobe Bryant. He had to face all the scrutiny the whole time. And not to mention everything else that happened in his personal life that he went against, that he found out that he wasn't actually guilty of doing that. They didn't treat him. Well, Jordan had it the easiest. Out of all the people in the GOAT conversation, Jordan had it the easiest because the media was designed to love him. It's kind of like in politics, right? Obama, they were designed to love him. The media was designed to love him. Right now, the media is designed to hate Trump.
Right.
And I'm not saying that either one is the same or GOAT status of presidents, right? But it's two different things. You had it way easier. So your standards were set way lower because everybody loved you.
Right.
If everybody was against me and I come in and still get 4 rings and I still get told that people didn't walk past a trash can and throw trash away without saying my name. Kobe, that was the thing. You throw some trash, Kobe, you do anything. Kobe was the face of basketball for like 15 years.
And a lot of people misunderstood Kobe because of his work ethic.
Yeah.
They did not understand. And Kobe was, and like Kobe had, they showed it. Kobe was mentioning, no, I'm not passing my teammate the ball. Because if the way you practice is the way you're going to play on the court.
Yeah. Yep.
And you come to practice 10 minutes before practice start and leave right after practice over. Oh, no, I'm not passing you the ball.
Yep. That's the truth.
But, I think that, our work ethics, and not just in sports, but even in politics, I'm not coming into politics to be liked. I'm coming to get a job done.
Definitely.
Not be the one that, we all love him. No, they're going to be like, that man is crazy, but I love the results of his craziness.
Yes, sir.
And I think that's what we have to look at. Do we want to be liked or do we want to be right?
Definitely. And that brings me, I know we just got a little off topic talking sports.
I know.
That was a fun conversation too. But I do, we've been on here for a minute. I got to get the kids situated. So I want to go ahead and close this up real quick. I want to ask one more following question for you though. So imagine, you win. When you win, and 5 years from now, what do you see Wisconsin looking like after a successful term as governor?
Wow, you would throw that one, wouldn't you? I see businesses coming back into Wisconsin. I see our education system is top notch. I see judges really doing their job instead of slapping them on the hand so they can go back out in the streets and kill someone. I see young leadership beginning to rise up and be bold and saying, okay, we can take it from here. Because I'm not planning on being governor until I'm almost 80 years old. I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to continue to enjoy ministry. I just want to be, my legacy is he came to plug the holes. He came to stop the waste. He came to bring hope. He came to empower us. He came to change the education system. He came to make sure Wisconsin is safe, and now he's turning it over. So when I turn it over, I got some young, smart, powerful, fearless young people, male or female, that understand I don't have to bow down to any party, but I can go forward to make Wisconsin, to continue to make Wisconsin a better place. So I'm looking at more family farms. You know, everybody's talking about we got to grow our own food. Yes, we do. So I'm looking at more family farms. I'm looking at making sure that our water stay fresh, our water stay clean, our forestry is not destroyed. You know, I'm looking for more homeowners that are in the city in the state of Wisconsin and not being owned by people outside the state. I don't want China to have none of Wisconsin land at all, none of it. So I just see a healthy population growing because of opportunities. I would love to see businesses come into a community, and when they set up shop, they invest in that community, not just there, but they investing, they're empowering, they are involved in the communities. And I want business to want to come to Wisconsin. And so I want it to be like no other. I don't want it to have I want it to have its own thumbprint. I don't want it to have a Republican thumbprint or a Democrat thumbprint. And I want it to have a independent that other independents will get up and run for office to see that, hey, we can have a mind of our own and we need to, fight for our state. And so I just see, and like I said, I might do 2 terms, but I don't know. It might be a 1 term to get things rolling, and then endorse somebody and say, okay, take over, go for it, and say, okay, I did what needs to be done. But I do know this, and I will say this: the Bible teaches us that the anointing flows from the head down, from Aaron's head down to his beard, all the way down. Wisconsin is going to prosper because the Bible says when the righteous, the uncompromised, are in authority, the people rejoice. So we're going to have a state that's rejoicing. Why? Because you're going to have a man of faith who will listen to the wisdom of God to how to make Wisconsin better.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan, man. My last and final thing, I want to leave you with the last word. So imagine you're speaking directly to the Wisconsin voters viewing this show tonight, or maybe even in the future. Why should they not only support you, but take the extra step in writing your name on the ballot? What do you want them to remember about the name David D. King after this interview?
Well, those of you that are in Wisconsin or thinking about moving to Wisconsin, I want you to, before you think about David King, I want you to think about both parties. I want you to think about the Democrats, and I want you to think about the Republicans. And I want you to ask yourself, why are you so loyal to someone that is not loyal to you? They supposed to represent you. You don't supposed to represent them. Then I want you to ask yourself a question. What do you got to lose to put a person in the middle that can make sure that this state is governed according to the Constitution? That this state is governed by someone that is looking out for your children all the way to the next 4 generations. Then I want you to think about, do I want Democrats to have power? Do I want Republicans to have power? or do I want to have my power back? And if the answer is yes, you want your power back, then take it back by writing David D. King on the ballot on November 3rd.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to just say this. If you outside of Wisconsin and you want to be a part of history to watch it, then says, you know what? I want to donate. I want to help. If you are a podcaster and you say, I want to interview him, then whatever it takes, let's show mainstream media that they are not the one in charge, but we, the people, are in charge.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That's David D. King, or I'm sorry, Dr. David D. King. Let me put that doctor on there for you. You earned it. If you guys want to show your support, he just lets you know how. If I was in Wisconsin, he would definitely have my vote, but I'm not in Wisconsin. If you come to Texas and run, trust me, you'll have my vote. But thank you guys all for tuning in to the show, dropping your comments and your thoughts, hearing what Mr. David had to say here, Dr. David had to say here, and really being able to hear his side of exactly what is important to Wisconsin and what needs to change and how you can improve Wisconsin. I appreciate everybody tuning into the show. Is there any last thing that you might want to direct them to of anything that you have going on? I know obviously the election, you spoke about the write-in and, being able to help by going to the link to be able to actually put in funds to support podcasting. Is there anything else that you might want to direct them to?
Well, if you are in Wisconsin, we have what's called Wisconsin is Our Time Now Community Forum that's going on August the 12th, the day after our primary, and it's going to be at 6111 North Tatonia Avenue in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53209. You're more than welcome to come, share with us your concerns, and then continue to listen to the vision on how we make Wisconsin better.
Well, Dr. David King, it's been great having this show with you. It's always good talking to you. I appreciate you coming on. I genuinely do. And I hope you have a blessed rest of your night.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. You have a blessed one.
You too.
Ain't no capping in my logic, this that real talk vibe. From the south where the grind don't die, we survive. Mind sharp, money right. Truth be the topic. Welcome to the game. This unfiltered logic. Ain't no sugarcoating here, just truth in the topic. Speak facts, not feelings, that's unfiltered logic. Pain made the hustle made profit. I learned from the struggle, now I profit off logic.